Good morning, all. All right, 10 o'clock sharp. We'll kick off this TekDelta event. Good morning and welcome to TekDelta warming up on key enabling technologies. I am Anita Lieverdink, the founder and director of TekDelta. And well, I saw the invitation list and the subscriptions, so I think we have a surprisingly good mix of startups, scale-ups, hubs, large organizations and public organizations again today. A very special welcome to our new partners, the public transport organizations of RT and HTM. Leslie and Peter, good to have you here as well. We hope you've all had a great summer with family and friends and maybe even some sunshine, time to recharge yourself for the coming period. That is, for me at least, practically always a very busy fourth quarter of the year. But I'm full of energy actually and really looking forward to it, especially since we're already combining our online activities with offline gatherings as well in the near future for TekDelta as well. So I will share some more of that, of what we have in store for you at the end of today's program. Talking about today's program, I'm very proud of it again. Let's take a look. We have Bas van der Starre. He's a researcher and advisor at Birch, and he will kick off this event in a few minutes. And he will do so by sharing the results of a very relevant study on the potential of emerging technologies in the Netherlands. And after his bird's eye view on Dutch key enabling technology landscape, we are welcoming Daniel Gebler, the CTO of Picnic, to take the floor. And his, we all know him, of course. The next level supermarket is growing really fast. And I think this would have not been possible if the company didn't invest a heavy deal in also deep tech. And Daniel will share his vision on this and also reflect on their lessons and experiences in the last 6 years. And after these inspiring keynotes, we have selected 3 scale-ups and 2 startups from our network for you. Samotics, Nowi, Waylay, Linksight and Teratide. They're different in their approach and technologies and also in the age of the company. Someone, please. Yeah, thank you. And we believe these companies are a great example of creating value by using key enabling technologies. We again hope this will be an interactive and open session where you also dare to share your vision, ask your questions, offer help, and of course, what we truly hope is that new connections are made. Connections that might lead to future collaborations even. So this warming up event is also a prelude for our one-on-one matchmaking events next month on October 12th. So pay close attention to the speakers today, Bas and Daniel, but also the startup talks of Simon, Constantino, Margot, Peter and Joost. We hope they will inspire you and you'll get an even more clear idea of the innovation path of your company and how TekDelta scale-ups can help you to innovate faster. So now let's dive into the key enabling technologies. How promising is the Dutch deep technology landscape? What areas have great potential? What about their start and scale-up activities? Do they find their ways into the verticals that promise high impact? And how can public and private parties influence this? Important questions and hard ones, actually, not easily to be answered. But luckily, we have Bas van der Starre. Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, good
thanks
morning.
For having me.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thank you for giving us some guidance in this topic. We've given you a quite difficult task, that is to share your knowledge on this matter in about 10 minutes. There will be room for questions afterwards, so you can type them in the chat if you have any, or you can raise your hand during the talk of Bas. But yeah, please take it away, Bas.
All right, I'm going to share my screen, of course. So just a second. And I hope everybody can see this.
Yep.
So hi, Bart, clear. Thanks, Anita. Thanks for having me. What I'll try to do is deliver a bird's eye view on what we've been calling deep technologies, but that's just a synonym for key enabling technologies. And I hope to give you an idea on where the Netherlands is right now, but more importantly, give you some structure to analyze and make decisions around deep tech developments. So it's going to be a very wide view. There's going to be a lot of different technologies to cover. So this might also raise more questions than give you real answers right now. But with this talk and with this research, we hope to make those questions at least more focused and relevant. So like Anita said, this talk is based on research we published with TechLeap in June of this year. So before I begin, I have to acknowledge all the hard work that went into the underlying report. That wasn't possible without the efforts of Delphine and Elmar from Birch and Bella and Jaron from TechLeap. And let's get right into it. So why deep tech startups, and what do I mean by that exactly? So there's a lot of varying definitions out there, but deep tech startups aim to build a value proposition on recent scientific and technological discovery. So this consequently often makes the startup very capital intensive. It requires a lot of investment. It's also quite risky to operate because you don't know if that discovery is going to pan out into a product. And it requires a lot of patience in a path to market. But the counterpart is that these new technologies have very high transformative potential, and there's as such a large opportunity with deep tech startups in gaining a first mover advantage. This makes it a very high risk, high reward investment area. But as we can see from the graph, the Netherlands is quite behind in deep tech investments compared to European peers. Only 15% of our startup investments went into deep tech in 2020 compared to more than 20% in the rest of Europe. So from a macro perspective, we don't have the resources to fully invest in every deep technology opportunity. We need to be selective, which is why our research question was, what are the most promising deep technology industry areas? We need a good framework to identify the most promising deep tech. So in our research, we combined Dutch strengths in science and startups with potential economic and societal impact of deep technologies. For each dimension, we have a lot of multiple indicators. I won't bore you with the details right now, but by comparing deep technologies on these dimensions, we get a good first picture, a first glimpse of our Dutch deep tech landscape and the opportunities in it. So let's be a little more specific in our scope. When we talk about deep technology, we consider 9 different key enabling technologies. Those are both research fields and areas with active startups. And these are artificial intelligence and data, robotics, blockchain, augmented reality or virtual reality, Internet of Things, nanotechnology, photonics, advanced materials, and quantum technology. So right out of the gate, we notice that these fields are not independent from each other, but they're quite related to common research questions and common principles they investigate. For instance, robotics relies really heavy on the advances made in artificial intelligence. Quantum technology requires advanced nanofabrication and photonics. And looking at this overlap, we've identified 2 deep tech clusters that are more strongly related, a digital innovation cluster and a hardware innovation cluster. And of course, we realize technology in itself is nothing without application. And there's a lot of expectations going around on how we're going to use deep tech in the future. Some of it might be hype, but there's definitely a lot of potential. So we've structured those expectations in this matrix and assessed whether a technology could augment a value chain by improving a part of it, or whether it could transform an entire value chain by changing the vertical. So here too, we see dependencies between different deep technologies within value chain. For instance, advanced automation in factories requires new artificial intelligence and robots and new sensors and Internet of Things devices, possibly even based on advances in photonics. So to give you an idea of what those cells in that matrix contain, for this research, we assembled a list of almost 700 deep tech startups. And there are some seriously cool Dutch deep tech startups to watch. For instance, MapIQ, who provide a sensor ecosystem with software to improve well-being in offices. Axerion, that they build navigation systems for logistics warehouse robots with extreme accuracy. Or Leidenjar, they develop new nanotech anodes that make lithium-ion batteries a lot more efficient. And I'm also quite confident that the pitches you will hear today will give you a lot of insight in the potential of deep technology. So we're going to have to compare some apples to oranges to see how the Netherlands is doing. And we're doing that based on the scientific leadership and startup activity. And when we put that all together, we see 4 categories of technologies. There are technologies on which we are still in very early stage. So we may have scientific leadership, but that does not necessarily yet lead to large-scale startup activity. Quantum technology is a very good example of this. In the competitive arena, there's a lot of startup activity, but we don't necessarily have the scientific edge. And then there's the top right, the potential winners. Those are the technologies ready for prime time, in our opinion. We have a top 10 scientific position, and entrepreneurial activity is picking up. And these categories also match with the expectations surrounding the application of those technologies. The competitive arena features really high expectations for transformative power in technology, whereas for potential winners, expectations are currently a little lower. But the challenge going forward will be to move the needle on those technologies, so stimulating startups and improving our scientific position where possible. And next, do those startups actually find their way into application, into the verticals in which the promise of impact is high? Well, yes and no. There are really clear differences between industries, with most deep tech startups finding their way into IT applications and health applications, but relatively little activity in, for instance, logistics, chemicals, or construction, despite these being really high value industries for the Netherlands. So this might be due to industry dynamics or the development stage of the technology that is required there in these industries that make it difficult to enter, despite the potential impact. And finally, we also have to consider societal implications. Deep tech promises to help solve societal challenges, but in which areas are those technologies most relevant and most effective? Again, we can map the deep tech expectations on each of these challenges. For instance, there are very high expectations for AI and data on all the challenges, compared to photonics, which will be primarily having an impact in the energy domain, or augmented reality, which currently is considered a little more limited. So it's a representation of current expectation that may all dramatically change in the future, but it's going to guide priorities for investment. So that's a lot of layers and a lot of information with technologies, challenges, and verticals. And the more you investigate this question, the more of the most promising deep tech areas, the more you realize that it's not a single technology or a single industry that requires our attention. It's rather the specific relationships between those technologies, industries, and challenges that are important. And so we try to select 3 clusters, focus areas that provide the most opportunity for deep tech investments. And our criteria were that they have to be focused on long-term growth whilst also addressing societal challenges. And the technologies that are key for each area provide potential for crossovers across multiple industries and multiple societal challenges. And the contributing crucial industries represent important forces in the Dutch economy, so that it will match with our current position. And deep tech will be able to contribute to their transformation. So those areas are health technology, health tech, centered around the health challenge and industry with crossovers. Climate technology, climate tech, centered around the energy and sustainability challenge. And high tech, focused on the most central industry for deep technologies that is also a dominant economic force in the Netherlands and functions as an integrator for almost all of these technologies. So these themes won't be a surprise to most people, but looking at it this way and this analysis makes specific which deep technologies and industries are crucial in tackling these challenges, and you can take a look at the lines to see what possible combinations there are to be made. So what to do? I obviously don't have time to give specific advice for each technology, but this startup landscape to me provides 2 interesting directions to explore. First, a direction to explore is to improve hotspots. There are areas with a lot of promising activity, so there will be more proven technology available in these areas, and the chances of near-term success will be higher. but there will also be a lot of competition, and not all solutions in that area will be able to live up to the hype. So there are chances of creating a new unicorn, like Picnic, or backing the wrong horse. And on the other hand, if we overlay this matrix with the applications matrix, there are a few white spots, and we can focus on them. There's areas with promising applications but without significant startup activity. That will require a lot more patience and a lot more long-term thinking, but it might offer the opportunity of a first mover advantage and a lot of long-term impact. So, as I said in the beginning, our analysis doesn't necessarily answer a very specific question. It provides rather an overview of the current state of deep technology in the Netherlands, and it tries to find a meaningful way of connecting the potential of these technologies to the most relevant areas of impact. During the research, there's a few takeaways we found out that I want to close out on. So first of all, there are going to be different deep technology strategies required, depending on whether a startup is hardware-based or digital, the industry activity, and the scientific position. So one-size-fits-all strategies will definitely not work, and we have to really look at those relationships. If we look at the three focus areas we defined, well, those are still very broad. Climate tech is very broad, but using deep learning to minimize transport movements in a logistics operation is very specific, and works towards that same overarching goal of climate tech. So if you're looking at stimulating investments or are a policymaker, then a level of specificity is required. And at the same time, most deep technologies are usable in multiple applications. So being mindful of crossovers should also improve overall chances. And finally, a long runway is unavoidable in most deep tech fields, especially in hardware fields. And from an investor's perspective, patience is required. Improving technology and making it competitive will take a long time, and it's going to be uncertain. But if successful, there will be huge potential for scaling. And so hopefully that helps in thinking and asking the right questions about deep technology in the future. And that's it for me. Thanks for listening. Good luck to every startup that's pitching today, and have a great event. If you want to learn more, download the report.
Thank you, Bas. That is quite something. It's a very interesting report, I can say already. And I see some applause. Are there any questions? I see a question from Daniel. Maybe you can ask yourself, Daniel.
Yes, let me unmute you myself. So good morning, everybody, and hi, Bas. Fantastic research, pretty impressive stuff. Maybe a simple question. If I would start something new, by the way, I'm the CTO and founder of Picnic, so I'm not looking for something new. However, if I would start something new, or if I want to kind of fund a new opportunity, how would you, from all the opportunities that you have shared, select what is matching my profile, what has big impact to society, etc.? Because there are so many directions that you have shown.
Oh yeah,
it's not that easy to really find the most matching one.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there could be two ways to go about that, outside in or inside out. So outside in would be just to think about, all right, what's the challenge I try to solve, and then work backwards from that. Okay, what type of technology am I going to need for that? And just funnel it down. So start with the white canvas, but be very quick and ruthless about which technologies do not meet your criteria and which you have to stop looking at for a while. And the other thing is, I mean, for well, specific to Picnic, I think you guys have a lot of capabilities in terms of AI and robotics. So you could also start from there and think, yeah, try to think Horizon 2, Horizon 3, what long-term innovations do I want to be able to perform, and set up an innovation funnel from that direction.
Can I ask a bonus question on top of it?
Sure.
So all those kind of deep tech investments and innovations have actually a pretty long horizon.
Yeah.
Which obviously there's a significant upside, which is fantastic for every entrepreneur. But the downside of this is that you learn pretty late in the process if you're on the wrong track.
Yeah.
So how can you identify this a bit earlier, that you're not spending 10 years on something which maybe doesn't materialize?
I'm not sure if that's a problem that can be solved. Maybe, yeah, maybe there might be some technological solutions coming up in that field, especially for hardware innovation. I think that the possibilities of simulation become increasingly broad, so that might help you in discovering early on that, well, maybe the hardware idea we had is not ever going to work because the simulation says so. But other than that, I think that's the nature of the game, partly, that this deep tech investment it's going to be hard, and a lot of it is going to fail.
Is there anyone maybe with a view from a different angle? Maybe the investor angle? No, not yet. I had just one more question.
Sure.
You were also talking about the white spots.
Yeah.
And I was interested in actually why they are a white spot. What is the reason that startups didn't enter the game yet? Do you have an opinion about?
That's a good question. So of course, this research looks at startups as a vehicle for deep tech innovation, but there are a lot more vehicles for deep tech innovation. Large corporates may also invest in long-term R&D. So I think there will be several reasons why there are still white spots in some areas. So there might be barriers to entry for startups right now that requires so much investment to deploy a deep tech in that area that only a large corporate would be able to do it. So you won't see any startup activity, but that doesn't mean there is nothing happening there. And on the other hand, there might be industry dynamics that prevent startups from finding an effective path to market right now. So the current industry won't be receptive of deep technology innovation.
All right, I think we'd have to leave it here. There's a question I see it's already been answered. The link
Nice.
to the report is in the chat, so you can all take a more deep dive into that one. Thank you so much, Bas. It's been really interesting, and you've put a lot of effort in also sharing these lessons. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
So now it's time to do the groceries, actually. Welcome, Daniel. We've already seen you, CTO of the fastest growing online supermarket. Glad to have you here as well, especially in this turbulent time. I saw that, maybe you can share the news of yesterday, which has been really amazing, and congratulations.
Yes, I will share it in a second. Let me share my screen and then we can get started.
Perfect.
Okay, include sound. And we take the screen. So hold on. Good.
Yes,
okay.
There it is. Okay.
Here it is. Here it is. So very happy to be here. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Daniel. I'm a co-founder and CTO of Picnic, the online supermarket. If you have not tried it, feel free to try it. What you mentioned earlier and what you're referring to is a funding round that we closed yesterday and that we announced a Series D round of 600 million, where the lead investor is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which gives us quite a bit of confidence that we are on the right track with our development. So Picnic is a combination between deep tech and retail tech, food tech, and innovation also on the logistical side. So it's a kind of a mixed bag of a couple of elements. And what I want to do is I want to share a bit the story of Picnic, but also the kind of challenges that we are tackling. And to be frank, we are just at the beginning of tackling those kind of challenges. So let's dive into. I will not talk too much about this nice vehicle. If you are living somewhere in Netherlands, you will see us running or driving around. So we have now a little bit more than 1,000 vehicles in Netherlands, also in Germany and in France. I will also not go too much in the business angle, but maybe one aspect which is important. With deep tech, you're tackling an opportunity as Bas was showing earlier, in a specific market where you simply look to the valorization or the business value creation as a second step. We started, and that is the kind of very typical for e-commerce and e-retail, is you start with a business value proposition. What we said is there are problems or there are reasons why customers have not done grocery shopping online. We tackle those one by one, and we come up with a solution that customers like. And there we said we make all the groceries, all the food you like, over mobile, delivered to your home with the lowest price and no delivery fee guarantee. So that is something what nobody has tried before, which actually customers like, and moves the problem from a consumer demand perspective to a logistical realization, tech realization, deep tech angle. And that is something what I want to dive a bit into. What all of you may know, if you have tried Picnic, is that there is a mobile app, and that is obviously the technology that is by now pretty commoditized. What is much more interesting is what is happening behind the scenes. So 80% of the tech in Picnic is happening across the supply chain, which is fulfillment, delivery, last mile, warehouse robots, and that is something what I want to focus a bit further on. When we are talking about retail innovation, retail tech, then there is one thing, and what I find very important as a perspective is when you're building technology, when you're building a platform, then what you're actually doing is you have ahead of you a solution that is solving a problem that you have tomorrow, and the solution you will have tomorrow, but you need to build it and design it with today's perspective. And the reason why this is important is that the world, both whatever challenges you will solve will be tomorrow different than today, but the solution that you build is just available tomorrow. And in the same way also, the technologies that you can use will change drastically. And the example in Picnic is we started pretty early on already designing an AI stack in 2014 when we built the initial architecture, while AI and machine learning and deep learning has been at the infancy at this stage. And infancy means the kind of the new wave or the third wave of AI, which started around between 2008 and 12, was just on the level of Google. Not even Facebook was doing this at a significant way at this time. And we thought there is an opportunity that we can apply it also to retail. But let's zoom in a bit in the challenges that we are trying to tackle and that we are tackling. So the first one is, if you're building a solution for a consumer market, you need to think about, you have two directions. Either you build a product and you hope that customers come, but you need to be extremely strong on product. And so far, there are very, very few companies that can do this well. Apple is an example that can do this well. Probably the rest of the industry can't. But the other direction is a much smarter one, is you co-create it with customers. So a typical example and how we have applied this is we develop the assortment that we list in Picnic completely with our customers. So we had a baseline assortment, small number of products, and everything on top. We ask our customers, what would you like to eat? You give us, you tell us, and then we list it in the end. A very different way compared to how traditional food retail works, where typically suppliers are forcing the retailer what they need to list. But that is only a starting point. If you then move to the logistics, and we saw this already a bit from Bas' presentation, there's a lot of opportunities there. And one of the interesting opportunities for a warehousing operation is how can you reduce shelf time? Typical shelf time in logistics are many, many days. We have a shelf time of 8 hours, very low spillage, and the operation should have as little as possible emergencies. And then designing a deep tech stack around it that allows you to predict not only the kind of regular flows that are happening in the warehouse, but also all the exceptions. So a good example for this is during the COVID times, we could predict which suppliers were under-delivering or delivering bad quality, and therefore we are just over-ordering, such that we had in the end the right amount and the right quality. So that is a typical thing how you can cope with those kind of exceptional situations. Fulfillment, I will show one example afterwards about fulfillment automation, but an interesting opportunity that we see here is that while you wanna actually achieve very high order completeness and no consolidation, that you automate processes. But I will show a little bit more later. One interesting thing, and I want to show you also the solution to it, is a last mile distribution challenge. Distribution means that you deliver stuff to customers. And if you say you don't deliver like a typical postal service where you have long windows, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 and 8 hours, but you have 20 minutes and you want to be always on time. You need to actually apply 2 very smart tricks. So the first trick is you need to have a good prediction. And the prediction for us is, well, you predict basically how long does the route takes, but also how long does a stop take. And let me maybe talk you through a bit how such a stop is calculated in Picnic. So there's an area constant. So that means we know that in a busy area like Amsterdam, there are different stop times than maybe in a less populated area. Then there is an additional component to the first order deliveries. Then there's an additional component on how much products, how many bags we are delivering to customers. But the real magic comes in the machine learning that is called here on this slide TekDelta. And there we are predicting that a night delivery takes typically 23 seconds longer than a daytime delivery. A delivery where we deliver or where we bring the groceries in the second floor instead of first floor is 17 seconds longer. If we need to go around the house, because the door is on the back side and not on the front side, it takes 43 seconds longer in average. If we are delivering to a household where you have 2 kids, we have an average 11 seconds longer because there is more interaction at the door. And all those kind of parameters come into play that basically make the prediction of the distribution much more accurate than any other logistics system ever has done before. So what does it mean as a kind of a second step? The first step is good prediction. Second one is that you make a co-delivery with customers, you inform customers, and you include them where you have a real-time tracking what is happening on the street. And you can see this now here in real time in app. But maybe the last thing what I wanted to show you is also how can you automate fulfillment processes. So let me show you this, maybe how warehouse automation can look like. So first of all, it should be easy, no hard labor, it should be fast and certainly also be fun. And we are building now one automated fulfillment center in Utrecht, where I have a small video that shows a bit on how we are progressing here. So this is the first and only fully automated warehouse in Europe about food. In the world, there exists only one in Asia. The next one that we will build will also top this one. So this is actually a real logistical innovation that is happening in our lovely country, Netherlands. So let me wrap up with a couple of learnings that I want to share with you. You, especially if you're acting in deep tech, then beside having a big dream, having a big mission and a vision, you need to act small. So that means build it really step by step. And that is something, especially in deep tech, pretty hard, because making small steps on a kind of a very long journey that won't bring you too far. But it's super important that you build this in very incremental steps up. Second one is while you're collecting all kind of data and you're making data-driven decisions, also complement this with a mission, because this is really important. You will never have enough data. I'm speaking often with Facebook, Google, Uber, Snap, etc. All of them have not enough data, and I promise you will have also not. Everybody is talking about AI, but consider data science as a very nice prototyping tool, launch quick. And the most important thing, and something what I'm actually very happy about, and you should always remind yourself that even if you have a small teams, that is not a limiting factor. Great products like Instagram, like WhatsApp, and many others are actually coming from small teams. So with a small team, just a few developers, just a few engineers, you have a great opportunity that you don't have to build all the waste, all the stuff that doesn't work, and you can focus on the stuff that actually deep tech-wise really works going forward. So that brings me to the end. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you so much, Daniel, and a lot of interesting stuff has come up in your talk. So, is there anyone with a question to Daniel? And of course, applause. Anyone has a question? Please do dare to shout out. No one yet.
Yeah, Daniel, I had one question. Arthur Benschop from TNO. Of course, you also have to connect your suppliers in a kind of way. Can you address that? How did you manage that?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So we are part of a supply chain ecosystem. We are not owning the entire supply chain. And let me maybe give you an example. We're working with a few bakeries that are baking bread for us that we deliver to customers. The interesting one is, while we are a tech company from 2021, the bakery itself has a tech stack that is not actually very much on 2021 level. So one of the really interesting challenges, if you're disrupting an old and a traditional industry, is that you need to build all kind of bridges and gateways where you map your very modern tech stack to a much more traditional ones. So what we do here is basically three things. Number one is we are just deploying also engineers with our suppliers that helps them. Number two, we are to some extent deploy our own technology, for instance, our picking and warehouse management systems on this at a third party. And the third one is we are also building a kind of old to new tech wrappers that allow us to take a very traditional email or FTP gateway for placing orders to a more modern JSON or REST API based API. And that is something which is, I think, technology-wise not super advanced, but is culture-wise not easy for a modern tech company. Because as a modern tech company, you want to just work with the latest, greatest tech. And then on the other side, sometimes you work with a little bit more traditional one, which most of our engineers have heard that this was a technology from the past. But there's no problem with this, because that is, I think we all as inventors, innovators, entrepreneurs, we need to realize that in general, computer science and computer technology exists only for a few decades. And there will be legacy, will be a much more common thing, even if you try to find it going forward. So therefore, we should all get just comfortable with it.
All right, good answer, I guess, Art Willem.
Yeah,
thank you. Is there anyone else with a question?
Yes, I would like to ask a question. It does not. My name is Dineke van den Burg. I'm from the Ministry of Infrastructure. Very interesting presentation. I have a little bit different question, because I know that you were also involved into the solar picnic. So having solar roofs on your little trucks, let me say it in that way. But I do not see it in your proposition anymore. So is that gone, or is it still in development? How can you say something about that?
Excellent question. So thanks, Dineke. We have, maybe just to put it a bit in context here, we have done with the city of Rotterdam and around Rotterdam, run a project which is actually building up or including picnic vehicles in a smart grid, where we actually generate electricity, not only on our vehicles, but also on the hubs and the fulfillment centers, and then give energy back to the network when we have additional or excess energy. What we realize, we still do this on our vehicles, but what we realize is that it's significantly more efficient on the hubs. So that means the small distribution centers in the city, as well also in the fulfillment centers, because just the entire area that we can use for solar panels is significantly bigger. So we are working on a technology also for the vehicles, but we are working also on new vehicles. So that is kind of something that goes hand in hand in parallel. And the bigger impact we have now on our hubs and fulfillment centers. But this is still definitely part of the proposition. One thing what you're mentioning is actually a pretty interesting one. We are not so good in, we're doing a lot of good stuff, but we are not often talking about it. So maybe we should make a little bit more visibility around this. Good point.
Okay, yeah.
All right, thank you, Daniel, so much. I also had a question, but I think it's about time. But I was really curious on, well, you've only been around for about 6 years now, and you say you dream big and you act small, but well, you also act quickly in small steps, and how do you manage and keep up the expectations also with the is there a limit to fast growing? Maybe a quick answer to that one as well. For the other scale-ups. Yeah.
Yes. It's very simple. The sky is the limit, and you should not box yourself in what you try to achieve. What is pretty important is that you have a portfolio of a few things that you aim for. Stay realistic, but really be super, super ambitious. And this is number one. Number two is accept that things that you need to adjust also goals. So if you're looking back to what we aimed for in 2015, then it looked pretty different than what we have achieved now. And we are pretty happy what we have now, and we are achieving now. We are looking now for something what we want to do in 25, but most likely that is also not completely spot on. But there's the saying: if you aim for the moon, and if you miss, then you're still between the stars. So let's aim for that.
I was thinking about that one too. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. You can stay in the conference, but we'll be heading on to.
I will head on. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. I hope this will inspire the other ones to see what a great team is capable of in achieving actually just a few years. But another example of that actually is the Samotics team. They started around the same time, and in short, the company is about eliminating downtime for AC motors in a lot of different industries. And I already see Simon Jagers, the founder of Samotics, and he will tell you all about their own ingenious sensor and AI solution. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Please fire away.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to talk about our work. My name is Simon Jagers. I'm one of the founders of Samotics. And at Samotics, we believe that all machines will become smart over the next couple of years, right? We see a lot of sensors being installed, and as mentioned here before, AI is increasingly important to turn that data into information. And what we're essentially seeing is that these machines are both able to make better decisions or more complex decisions without human intervention, and they are connected to each other. So we're creating production systems that are to some extent self-thinking and that can solve problems on their own and that respond dynamically to an ever-changing environment. And within that framework, we build products where AI and machine learning are important elements, serving clients like BASF, like ThyssenKrupp, like ArcelorMittal, water and wastewater companies in the US, in the UK, and in the Netherlands. So our clients are basically, come from very different industries, run very different applications, but what they all have in common is that they depend largely on industrial electric motors and rotating equipment such as pumps, fans, and conveyors. And their challenges evolve first and foremost around unplanned downtime, right? If a machine fails, then your production system fails, which is in principle very expensive, but also can have negative consequences for health, safety, and the environment. So we want to solve that. Another challenge, I suppose, that is closely related to this digital transformation is the focus on reducing energy waste. As a testament to what's possible there, these AC motors consume around 35% of all global electricity. And with up to 10% savings possible without interfering with the production itself, that's a huge opportunity. And I think certainly moving beyond that, those networks of smart machines represent really a big opportunity to make industry a lot more flexible, to cater to individual clients' needs. So that's where we are. And that's also where we see an opportunity to do better than is done today. Because traditionally, if you want to prevent unplanned downtime, you implement a vibration-based system. But just as with, for instance, even with a picnic, I was in that Utrecht distribution center, there will be a lot of conveyors that are simply very hard to reach, where it's impractical or impossible to install those traditional sensors on that system in the field. But also consider, for instance, in the steel industry, where temperatures can get very hot, or cryogenic pumps and chemicals very cold. So a lot of times it's simply not possible to install those monitoring systems that help you to prevent unplanned downtime. And that's really where we come in. We've developed a plug-and-play system that analyzes electrical signatures, current and voltage, from inside the motor control cabinet. And with that, we detect electrical and mechanical failures and send an alert to our clients, typically 3 weeks to 3 months before downtime happens. So we can effectively help them to reduce that unplanned downtime and make sure their machines are more reliable. But I think the second step is that what we're focusing on now is to also use that same data for that second big problem, which is around energy savings. Again, 2 to 10% is a realistic number on a per asset basis to be able to save. And I think that's really what makes the system unique. It is electrical signatures, so we can install inside the motor control cabinet, making it possible to monitor basically all of your motors, not just the ones that are easily accessible or that operate in hospitable places, but also those that are dispersed in a variety of locations, very hot, very cold temperatures. Now, that second benefit of this approach is that cloud or is that energy savings potential that we're bringing to the field. And I think that's also what I wanted to raise today. Our first product, again, is really focused on condition monitoring with energy monitoring built on top. But we've also launched a new proposition that is focused on energy monitoring as such. So that's what I wanted to raise today. I'm sure there are quite a few partners in the call today. I can think of SPIE, but also the City of Rotterdam, Defense, TBI, that might be interested in either a combination of condition monitoring and energy monitoring, or work with us on building out an energy monitor. Because I think, you know, as mentioned in the talk before, it's not per se about technology, but I do believe that if we apply sensors, if we apply AI, we can do both. We can build better products and we can save energy and the environment in the process. So please consider this an open invitation. Do reach out if you want to learn more. We're ready to go and hope to work with you moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Simon. Good talk. And also a call for maybe some of the partners who is interested in a talk. We can schedule that October 12th, of course. And anyone has a question for Simon at this time? Please feel free and don't hesitate. All right, not at the moment, I see. Well, thank you so much. Your profile is on the platform, and people can have a one-on-one conversation with you about this this new test product.
Wonderful.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll be going to Nowi. And Nowi's journey has started, I think, also about 2015. It was a great year. And at that time, the Internet of Things was a really hot topic. And it was already expected that by now, this time, there will be tens of billions of connected devices. And I've looked it up. I think the current number is about 30 billion of IoT connected devices and an expectation of 75 billion in 4 years. And Nowi is focusing on the one thing all Internet of Things devices would need, the power supply. But you can tell us a lot more on that. Constantino Garcia, welcome to TekDelta. Could you please share the Nowi story?
Definitely. Thanks, Anita. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. Well, I have a 5-minute story on Nowi, and it's really nice to see things like picnic or Samotic, where you talk about sensors, all these things that need energy around us. Well, my name is Constantino Garcia. I'm a sales manager for Europe at Nowi, Energy Harvesting Solutions. And Nowi itself is a semiconductor company. We are located in Delft, in the Netherlands, with 2 regional offices, one in California to serve the American market, another in Shanghai to serve our Asian users. And we specialize in the development of energy harvesting power management technology. And what does that mean? Well, it means we market the chip. It's a tiny chip that makes it possible to collect the energy that's all around us, convert the energy effectively, and power devices. These could be sensors, IoT devices, and we cut the dependency on batteries. Now, this chip is quite small, yet very powerful. And what it does, it basically simplifies the design process, and it lowers the threshold for any company to have plug and forget products. As you said, Anita, the company was founded in 2016. It has received 8 patents for its technology, some awards in Europe, Asia, the Middle East. There are 5 years of product development backing us up that also help us to develop applications along with our clients. And we are a team of about 40 people, mostly in the office in Delft. Now, this is an overview of what power has evolved. And, just quickly, back in the days, anything had to be plugged. You had to use a wire. You had to have a wire, very inconvenient. Then batteries came around, and that made it possible to deploy devices in more remote spaces. Some of the cons is that you have to keep an eye on your battery life. If you have many devices or remote things, you have to send somebody physically to change those batteries. And then you're left with a bunch of batteries that are hard to recycle. And it's just pollution. So the future, it's to have something that's plug and forget. You don't have to worry about energy. And even though that's the future, that's what Nowi is making possible today. And I've said energy harvesting, the energy harvesting process, it's nothing else that basically on the one end of the spectrum, you have your sensor or a device you want to power. And on the other end, you have energy around us. It's the sunlight or the indoor light. Radio frequencies could be used as well as a source of energy. And basically what you need after that, you need a collector, and you can think of your PV panel to make sure that basically you harvest or you collect that energy. But very important is that in the middle between that energy and your sensor, you need a device like Nowi. And this is a converter. It's kind of hard, particularly for low power devices, to effectively and efficiently power them. Nowi steps in there, it makes a trick. And by design, Nowi, it's very simple. It doesn't require, like other options, a lot of external components, which also means that is cheap to implement, it's cost effective. And some of these devices don't have unlimited areas, to do. You can imagine if you require more components to do this kind of energy harvesting, you need more area, more money. Nowi, by definition, it's very, very simple. It doesn't add complexity to your sensors. It can be implemented in any existing sensor. And people don't need batteries anymore to power their devices. So that adds the element of eco-friendliness, because now you pollute less to power the same devices that you already have. In my own words, to make it a little bit of a summary, I could say Nowi enables people to have perpetually powered devices using only the energy that's already available around us. We do have several applications. Basically, wherever there is a sensor or an IoT device, we can step in and power it. I would mention 2 very exciting applications we talk about every day in the office. One is a TV remote, and actually this is not, but this is a typical one. What we do, we take existing ones, we place a little solar PV panel, and then the user can forget about changing batteries for the lifetime of the remote. On the one hand, that's useful for the user. For us, we can always play our TV shows, not worry about batteries. On the other hand, the companies can also be confident that they are not contributing to more waste in terms of batteries. Other exciting one, electronic shelf labels in supermarkets. Maybe Picnic uses that in their own warehouses. Those things in a supermarket can be from 40,000 to 60,000 of these electronic shelf labels to display prices. So there are 40,000 batteries that have to be changed at any given time. We get rid of that. We can implement a little PV panel on the existing product, and then it can work perpetually powered. This is an overview of the company. If you have further questions, feel free to get in touch. We are in Delft. We'd be happy to have you in the office if the COVID protocol allows it. So back to you, Anita. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much for your clear explanation, Constantino. I cannot see the chat, but if there's anyone with a question, please raise your hand. In the meantime, I did have a question because I was wondering, how would you benchmark Nowi on a more European or even global level?
Yes.
How unique is the product, etc.?
Yeah, totally. Myself, I'm mostly involved with our European users. And in terms of a benchmark, basically there is a historic context for this kind of solution. I think it was Nikola Tesla, back in the probably 20s, 30s, that was the first person to talk about this concept of energy harvesting. Well, it was, dormant for a while. Then all these ideas about IoT, smart cities, smart sensors came around. And it's been 5 years without an actual massive deployment. And one of the limitations there is the battery. You are restricted by battery life. Then you are restricted by the task force to basically change batteries. So if people go around and make their calculations on cost of ownership, it doesn't make sense to make such deployments battery-based. Now, it makes sense if there is energy harvesting. And there are other options out there, but those are complex. So those have been benchmarked. So to give you an example, using one of the legacy chips, it requires up to another 15 additional components to be able to implement the energy harvesting setup. With Nowi, you require our chip and one another external component, which is the PV, for example, the PV panel. So in that sense, the benchmark is quite clear. The system is very simple, and you require very little additional components. So it's cost effective as well. And in terms of European applications, there are quite some exciting ongoing projects. One I can basically share more of. It's a probe. It looks like a cane or a stick that you basically put into the ground, and that's for the agricultural industry. So people want to keep an eye on humidity, temperature of the soil. But of course, they cannot afford to have batteries there. So if you are going to deploy that, you're going to deploy that using energy in your surroundings. And well, this case, particularly talking about this case, it's quite useful for the Netherlands as well, where there's quite some agricultural projects going on. This project is being led by a South African company, where they can afford to send somebody to the field to change the batteries. They cannot enter market like the European market, where sending somebody to the field, it's rather expensive. So in that sense, that's one impression where also the location or the geography the economic environment plays a role to basically deploy this kind of IoT smart measurements applications with energy harvesting.
I understand. I believe there will be some links to our customers. So please, Constantino, take a look at the platform as well and let us know who you would like to talk to. And
Yeah, sure.
I see one hand from the audience.
Yeah.
Who was that? Is there a question? Oh, I think it's gone. Well, let's set up meetings for you as well during our next matchmakings.
Totally.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. The last scale-up we have in store for you today is Waylay. Also about IoT, but from a different angle. They make IoT accessible and a value for everyone, and they offer solutions for as well startups and developers and SMEs as larger organizations. Their journey started in Ghent, or Ghent, I think I should say, in Belgium, and has taken them across the ocean as well. This year they opened their first office in Denver, Colorado. I saw on the website. Welcome, Margot van der Poel, the new CFO of Waylay, and congratulations as well with the market expansion.
Thank you very much.
Good
Thank
to
you
have
for
you
the
here.
introduction as well. So hi everyone, my name is Margot, and I work for Waylay, based in Ghent, Belgium. I'm responsible for finance and partnerships, and actually it's very great to be here. First of all, many thanks to the organizations as well for the great opportunity. So okay, let's get started. So Waylay is a B2B software company, SaaS company, building a automation platform. So our main verticals today are industrials, smart buildings, and utilities. But we are actually not limited to these and are working with customers on new use cases in data centers, cybersecurity, retail, and telecom as well. These slides provide a bit of a helicopter overview.
Would it be possible to use the presenter mode? Because then it's a bit bigger for us. Yeah, this is better. Thanks.
Yeah, but I'm missing the people on the screen.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay. I like to see responses as well. Is it visible like this?
Yeah, but it's quite small, so maybe you can adjust the layout a little bit.
But I can share the slide deck. But okay, so this slide provides a bit of a helicopter overview. So on the left side, you can see that data is being adjusted from different environments on IT and OT side. So on IT side, it's CRM tools, ERP tools, and databases, or building software management. And on the OT side, there's the sensors, the gateways, SCADAs, machineries, etc. So all this data is being ingested to the core of our platform, which is our automation engine. And it's a low-code environment to create rules for data work orchestration, and also to do all kinds of time series analytics. That goes from descriptive, like seeing the outcome on a dashboard, like you can see on the right side, or predictive analytics, where you can actually analyze what went wrong with machine learning models. And so on the right side, you see our dashboard, which is the visualization of the results. But actually, the most value adding of Waylay is actually the middle part and the left part, so the OT and IT data ingestion, and also the automation. This gives a bit of another overview, but I prefer to talk to this slide because actually this is talking to what the core problem is that we are solving. So with Waylay, you can ingest and process data from any IoT, IT, or OT data source, and that in fact is huge because all these data streams are very different. But with Waylay platform, all these data streams are being normalized and makes it flow back and forth between any IoT, IT, or OT system. And on top of that, Waylay enables customers to, let's say, effectively operationalize any machine learning algorithm with the Waylay rules engine as well. So a little example, it's a simple use case, but it explains the value that Waylay can add. So imagine you have an HVAC installation that broke down. So, okay, you need to know where is the installation located. That's in one database. You want to do some anomaly detection on the data coming from that machine. Then, okay, who owns the device? That's again another database. You need to connect it with a ticketing system to create an alarm. So even this simple use case can quickly become very complex. Can become a complex problem that Waylay easily solves by merging data from all different environments and provide this automation engine on top of it. Another core problem we are solving is that it's all pre-built. It's a pre-built automation engine and all components are stitched together already. And especially for developers who are using Azure or AWS, they know the pain where you have to go to buying all components like databases, microservices, etc., and I still stitch it all together. So the fact that it is pre-built with Waylay makes it ensures like a very fast application of your use case and saves you millions of euros in development. And as a last point on the core problem that we are solving, it's actually a platform where you can bring together all types of personas in one environment. So why is that? It's a drag and drop low-code environment. So it can be used by OT people on one side who know everything about SCADA and machines, but lack coding skills. They can actually build rules themselves within Waylay based on their expert knowledge. On the other hand, business people who don't actually care about ML or coding, they can just see the results on the dashboards. And of course, also ML data scientists who want to deploy their machine learning model in Waylay can do that as well. So we like to say that Waylay democratizes OT IT data for all. The last slide is talking about the 3 products that we're offering. So important to tell as well that it's all based on the same technology, but the 3 different product offerings adhere to different personas. So if you saw a Waylay IO, it's actually tailored for developers. So the whole experience is very developer-like. Enterprise is for our big customers. And the last one, Digital Twin, is based on our partnership with Salesforce. So that product is actually combining the business knowledge within Salesforce Field Service and Service Cloud with actually the powerful Waylay platform underneath. So that is the user experience is in fact Salesforce, but the number crunching is being done in Waylay. So I see some of the partners on this call, I believe, are Salesforce users. So please reach out if you want to learn more. So I'm gonna leave the rest of the time for any questions you might have. I saw, for example, that SPI is on the call, whether they probably can resonate with the problem statement of data flow merge in industrial engineering processes. But in general, please, everyone, do reach out for a demo of the platform or if you want to learn more. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Margot. It's an amazing company and a great platform for low-code developments. There is a question I saw about can it be used? Or maybe you can ask the question yourself, Britesh.
Yeah, I'm working. I'm Pritesh from Proxima Technology Services. I'm more working on engineering aspect of developing the product, our company. So normally we also face a lot of time question to merge the product lifecycle processes to automate them mainly. And there we need to code a special coding to engineering software, as you can say like that. So is it something can be done with this your platform?
Can you specifically rephrase the question?
Yeah, so there is a, let's say, bill of material. There is a part, let's say company is producing a car, for example, right? And there is a bill of material. And now there are a lot of data needed around that components, how they are logistically handled, what is the inflow, what is the outflow, and you want to automate that kind of thing, you know. I don't have a specific example for now, but it's more about handling the engineering data and automation around it, and handling the properties, because they are normally in the PLM systems, but you can't automate those data to be used in the way you want to use it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for the example. That makes sense. Well, actually, I've been within the company for over a year now, and I must say, I'm pretty sure we can automate everything. So the data sitting on different databases or on IT or OT side, actually we can merge them all. And if I look at our engineering team, they're an amazing group of people, very skilled, and we have these custom-made connectors on the IT side and on the OT side already made pre-built available. But if a customer wants to add another connected to the platform, we can build that as well. That makes the platform very scalable towards different types of systems.
Okay, I would like to learn more about it then.
Okay,
how does it work? Yeah. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Thank you for your question. And we'll also try to arrange a meeting with the other partners, like you mentioned, for example, SPI. Thank you, Margot. We'll be now moving on. Thanks. To the next part, and that is actually something new for us. We usually ask our network of hub partners for their best scale-ups to give a talk. But since this is on key enabling technologies, we also wanted to offer the stage to more early stage startups to find out about their recent developments. And today we have two of those examples for you that are Linksight and Teratide. Hi, Peter. Teratide was founded in 2019 and Linksight was just recently founded. Peter Verhagen and Joost Rozeman will explain themselves what it is they actually do. Welcome, Peter. We know each other quite well since we were TNO colleagues, but as entrepreneurial as you always have been, you have left the building to start your own company, Linksight. Please share your story with us.
Yeah, thank you, Anita, and thank you, everyone, for having us here. I've prepared a short presentation, so I'll just jump to the right window. Here we go. Linksight. We are a recently founded TNO spin-off company, and we focus we enable our clients to create data-driven insights together in a decentralized way, but then without sharing any of the sensitive data that's underneath those analytics. And that's quite a sort of a magical proposition, I think. But first, what is we see two mega trends colliding. We see every company or government institution wants to be data-driven, and for data-driven, you need to process a lot of data, personal data, also from other organizations. But then there's also privacy regulation and also privacy awareness. And just as an example, there are in the Netherlands 50,000 elderly people who have a limited AOW, so limited elderly age pension from the state, only because it's not allowed for UWV to send the data of all 16 million citizens of the Netherlands to SVB, who can then target these 50,000 people directly. It's impossible to find them, but they are in the data. This is not only true for government, this is also true for financial institutions. This is true in healthcare, where we focused on recently. This is the issue, I think, and it's a serious issue and it's getting bigger. But there is a solution, and our solution is we can do analytics without actually sharing the underlying data. So we can do analytics by doing calculations on data while it stays fully encrypted. And for that, we use technology called multi-party computation and homomorphic encryption. Those are technologies that are now getting out of academia and becoming applicable in real life, that allow us to do calculations on data while the data itself stays encrypted. So you cannot read the data, but you can use it and you can get insights. That's not all. We're also using blockchain technology to create sort of a governance layer. Who can do what kind of calculations on what data, and also how can we store who has done what calculations, because that's a requirement that you have a nice audit log. So what we offer is the privacy-proof data analytics platform, as if you have access to sensitive data without actually having the sensitive data. And by using our platform, you can get insights that you would otherwise never get. You can create value out of your own data without sharing it. And so you don't have, you can work together with your competitors because they cannot read your data. And you avoid the risk of non-compliance and data breach because this is actually the way that the GDPR is meant to be. We have just achieved a real pilot. We were the first in the Netherlands to use multi-party computation on real patient data, on real data in general. We work together with CZ, Zuiderland Hospital, CBS, Statistics Netherlands, and TNO. And just today we revealed our press release about this pilot, so hopefully you can read about it in the papers somewhere next days. We did a technical validation, also external security audits on the technology, and had it accepted by the CISOs of all of these big companies. For instance, CBS is a tough company to work with. We had it legally validated by external legal experts who said that this is fully in line with GDPR and it to have proportionality. And so you only share the information that you actually want to have and not everything underlying. This is us. We're a team of 3. We've just been, we won a grant from NWO also yesterday. So we are in the validation phase. How can we turn this technology that we're taking from TNO into a full product? And we're also looking, of course, for anyone in this group. If you have a data sharing dream, contact us. A dream where you think, well, if I could use that data from somebody else, what kind of solution could I make? That's what we're looking for. If you have such a dream and you're running into questions about privacy, GDPR, reach out to us. You can reach us through linksight.nl, or you can reach me on my phone number here, or you can meet us at Utrecht Inc., where we're also doing the validation track. Thank you.
Perfect. That was an interesting pitch, and it's spot on. I think key enabling technologies, because you enable data sharing, data analytics, it's encryption, it's blockchain. And I hope this will enhance data sharing in the near future. Are there any persons right now who have a question to Peter, or well, does it need some time to sink in and think of your data dream? Anyone, Anna? I can see the chat right now. Nothing right now. Okay. Well, sometimes I just need to have to take a little bit more time, but I can't see any hands. So thank you so much, Peter. Interesting results, and I think a perfect way to start the company, and already proven results, and a check from the takeoff. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
And right now we have room for Joost. I can already see you. Welcome as well. Hi. We haven't met yet, but on your LinkedIn profile, I saw we actually have been colleagues as well since you were an intern at TNO. Yeah, that's a coincidence. Yeah. but please share with us about Teratide, what the company is, what you try to achieve. It's quite technical, so hopefully we can understand and you can adjust a little bit into Jip and Janneke style. And let's hear it out.
Thank you. Yes, actually, my presentation is
I think it's not just me. The network is bad. Joost, we cannot see you. Is it Anna? Yeah. You have the same problem? Oh, that's too bad. Can you maybe contact him?
Yeah, I can, but we can also ask Joost to check out and come in the call again. Is that possible, Joost? If you hear us?
We can kick him out of the call and he can enter again. So
I will
maybe
do that now.
I will go to the wrapping up of the event already in the meantime, because there's also something to say about our next events and what is coming up. As I've said, this is just a small some pics of the large community of innovative companies we have at TekDelta. On our platform are many more, and in collaboration with the over 25 hubs, we make sure of a continuous influx of the best tech companies to connect to. So if you're not part of the community yet and you would like to, please contact Get Connected at tekdelta.nl and subscribe at the newsletter to be informed in time about the future events. Our future events are the matchmaking, October 12th. There will be an online session again. Anna, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, I will put myself in the spotlight then. Hi guys, good day all. Thank you, Anita, again for a good event. I loved it. Now it's my job to help out our partners to make a great connection for the upcoming matchmaking. So I will ask you kindly to check our tool and see if there are new matches that you are that have your interest. And if you liked one of the pitches, please let me know, because then I can quickly come up with a good schedule for the 12th. So you can reach me next week by email or just call me after the event. I don't have any calls afterwards, so I can be reached. Thank you and a good weekend to everyone.
Thank you so much, but that was not all. On November 25th, we have a similar warming up session on health and well-being. And I think we will do that together with EIT Digital and EIT Health. So we'll have an interesting community as well. And December the 10th, we will meet each other in person again. So we will have the matchmaking live in Amsterdam. We're now discussing the details with Startup Village, but there will be not only matchmaking, but also knowledge sharing and some very interesting use cases in health and digital health and well-being. So we really hope to see you there live in person again. What about Joost? Any news?
No.
So this is Gebler. So I'm a colleague of Joost from Teratide. So if there is space, I can give the pitch shortly.
Perfect. Please feel free.
All right. So let me see if I can pick up where Joost left.
Can we take the screen out, the share slides, so we can see you? Yeah, go ahead.
Great. So so my name is Gebler. So we are Teratide. We are a spin-off of Delft University of Technology here in the Netherlands. our focus is on optimizing end-to-end data analytics from the edge to the cloud. So we focus on a number of application domains, rather related to the edge, for example, 5G technology enablement, IoT devices integration into a cloud environment, and then collecting the data into the cloud and then doing analytics efficiently on the cloud. What we focus on is improving the energy footprint and power consumption of those devices from the edge or all the way to the cloud, enabling the green data center revolution. We know already that data centers are using a lot of energy, and they are consuming at the moment 4 to 5% of global energy needs. And this is projected to go up to 20% of electricity supply in the world by 2030, unless we do something about it. And our company is producing technologies that enable efficiently using the infrastructure and also connecting this infrastructure efficiently with the edge. Many of the solutions that are provided today by cloud providers is that if you need more compute, you just scale up. You spin off more nodes, and then you use more of the compute infrastructure available. That's, of course, very lucrative for the cloud providers because basically it means that you use more of their nodes. But what we do is that we enable using the same nodes more efficiently. Once you are on a node, you can use more of that node in a way that enables you to do more computation without having to spin multiple nodes. We do that with a whole stack, so enabling using data not in disk but in memory, and using that data in memory that has the same format that is to the data that's collected from the edge, all the way to your storage, all the way to your memory, all the way to your compute. The data format is called Apache Arrow, and the communication format is called Apache Arrow Flight. These are up-and-coming technologies. They are 3-4 years old, and we are enabling those to be used in the data center and also in the edge, enabling using new high-performance compute platforms like accelerators, like GPUs and FPGAs. And this allows you to increase your total efficiency of your system and reduce your total cost of ownership. We enable with this new stack, we enable basically reducing the cost of your computation, reducing the power consumption of your infrastructure, increase the efficiency, but also increasing the speed and reducing the latency for collecting the data from the edge to the cloud. So possible applications, for example, KPN, how will you be able to bring the edge closer to the cloud, enabling communication between your edge devices and the cloud at a very low latency, having this data collected and stored and processed in close to real time. Applications for ANWB, for example, how will you analyze, collect data from cars on the road in real time and analyze them in real time, enabling newer forms of engagement with the users and enabling efficient utilization of the data. We have a couple of use cases developed, mainly with American companies, where we show that the performance can increase of your applications can increase by a factor of 10, and also the energy consumption can increase by up to a factor of 50 to 100. So if you have any questions, any interest about these kind of applications, please, we're happy to discuss with you.
Is there a slight thank you, Saeed, and thank you for that quickly giving such a great talk. I'm sorry, Joost, I see you're back again.
Yeah,
we couldn't hear you.
Basically the whole pitch, but then I noticed that my Teams client that crashed. I guess Microsoft still doesn't like Linux at all, so sorry about that.
No worries, no worries. Maybe you could share the contact details of the company, but I didn't see that in the slide, or you can share it in the chat. I think we have to wrap up. You've mentioned KPN, ANWB, maybe some other partners are interested in and see opportunities to connect with you as well. Let's find out contact either you directly if you put the contacts in the chat, or contact getconnected@tekdelta.nl Anne, and she will make the arrangements. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. We've seen a lot of interesting new, relatively young companies and how they're using key enabling technologies like data analytics, blockchain, encryption, what we've seen more high performance computing. A lot had a great talk of Bas to kick that off in the broader landscape, and also of Daniel. So I've had a very interesting and fun morning, and I hope you had as well. Thank you for warming up together, and let's meet each other on October 12th. Have a nice day.
All right, thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Ciao, ciao.
Thanks, everybody.